how to get rich in a world driven by AI. There's now an AI tool that can analyze X-rays 55% more accurately than a human. And the best way to become successful is to learn from people who have already achieved. You're competing with the Gaga in the Philippines that can do it for half the rate. You're competing with the AI tool that will do it for $20 a month and in 5 minutes. Yes guys, welcome back to another solo episode of Success Clues. This of course is the Success Clues podcast because success leaves clues. And the best way to become successful is to learn from people who have already achieved the thing you want to do. So in the podcast I bring you interviews with a lot of amazing guests who have achieved incredible things in life and business. And I do some solo episodes like this talking about things that I'm seeing in the world, things that are going on in my life and things I think it would be valuable to share with you guys. Now last night I was actually on a panel talking about AI and the future of business and life in a world where obviously AI is going to be heavily dominant. And I've been thinking a lot recently in preparation for the panel and of course since on how to get rich in a world driven by AI, how to create an obscene amount of wealth in a world where most jobs are going to be cut into oblivion by AI. And I've got some thoughts that I want to share with you today. So in this episode, I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on what the future of work looks like and how you can capitalize on AI to get rich. So I think the context for this, right, is not just AI, it's globalisation generally and the digital economy now, is that you're no longer competing with just your geographical cohort, right? So historically, like most of our parents, it depends how old you are listening to this, certainly everyone's parents listen to this, would only really have been competing with people of a similar age in their similar sort of location, right? But now you're not just competing with the cohort that maybe you went to school with or the people in your country. You're competing with the Gaga in the Philippines that can do it for half the rate. You're competing with the AI tool that will do it for $20 a month and in 5 minutes. Competition is just so much larger now. And I think that's caused a lot of problems for the average person. You know, if you're average, you're obviously struggling already. And that's only going to get worse as AI develops and evolves. So big thing to note is that you're no longer competing with just your geography, you're competing with people all over the world who are probably better, cheaper, faster, and competing with AI that is certainly cheaper and faster. So, and this is particularly important for like lower level, repetitive tasks, things like admin, like social media management, data entry, all of these. If you're doing those, like you're already fucked. Let's be quite honest. And that's only going to get worse as AI comes into play. So how do you actually succeed and make millions in years to come? Well, there are a few things that I think you should be thinking about. Before we jump in, I want to give a huge shout out to Stripe, who sponsor this podcast. Now, I actually approached Stripe to sponsor the podcast because I'm such a big fan of the tool they've built. Stripe is an all-in-one LinkedIn content assistant that will even build your strategy for you. It's like having a strategist, a content writer, and an analyst in your pocket. And I use it to save 10 hours every week when I'm creating content. First, I review my content performance using their in-depth analytics, which neatly show me what content types are performing the best. Then I use their inspiration feature to find viral posts from other creators to inspire my own. Whenever I have ideas, I upload recordings of calls I've had with my team, personal voice notes, or even YouTube videos I've created. And this is where Stripe is worth its weight in gold. It's analysed all of my previous content to get my tone down to a T. And it then uses the sources I share to write engaging and optimised content. And for just £1.16 a day, it really is a no-brainer. Click the link in the show notes and use the code KUROGO25 for $25 off your first month. That's KUROGO25. Well, the way to protect yourself is through getting paid for high-level thinking. Okay, an old mentor actually once said to me, brains not hands. Okay, he's my first ever mentor, actually, a guy called Ollie Duffy-Lee. When he was talking about how to grow an agency and how to basically sign clients and have high-value clients, you can apply this to any business model. He said, be the brains, not hands. And if you're wondering what that means, it means being the hands would be getting paid to do the task. Being the brains is knowing which tasks to do and how to do them. There's that great, I don't know if you've seen the visualized value, I think it's Jack Butcher, I think the guy's name is, that creates those visualized value graphics. There's a great graphic which is like, it's kind of like a bill or a receipt, and it's like turning the screw $0, knowing which screw to turn $5,000 or something like that. Which I think is so right. You've got to be paid for your thinking and paid for the brains, the strategic advice you give, rather than just the doing, because the doing is becoming commoditized and it's becoming automated through AI. So you've got to start becoming a higher level thinker, start getting paid for your thinking and your strategy, and combining knowledge in a way that probably lower level competition or AI can't. Because quite frankly, all rich people are paid for their thinking, right? So you need to start stacking knowledge and expertise. So you still need the base level skills, of course, but you want to start stacking more complex knowledge and expertise on top of that. You need to be able to make predictions, have opinions, have taste. These are the sorts of things that people are going to be paid for in the future. And of course, the obvious one is learn how to leverage AI. If you don't know how to leverage AI, if you don't know how to prompt AI well, you're going to be left behind very, very quickly. So I think it's a combination of not trying to run away from AI and just completely make yourself bulletproof to it. You want to lean into AI, of course. You want to lean into the tools that are available. You want to learn how to use them, but you need to combine those with a higher level of thinking, because I think historically, all of the most successful people and the richest people and the highest paid people in the world are paid for their thinking. A guy called Grant Lee, who runs the company Gamma, really want to get him on the podcast. So maybe everyone just tag Grant Lee in this episode so that we can get him on the podcast, because I really want to speak to him. He put out a tweet recently about how he's grown Gamma into I think it's like $1 billion company. Let me check the actual numbers that he said, because it was crazy. 50 million, crazy. Scaled to a $50 million company by hiring high agency generalists who can think, do, and manage. They don't have managers that assign work to siloed division. They have generalists who can solve problems across the entire organization. And then they combine that with this centralized decision making, which is that they give one person full control over decisions in a certain domain of the business. It makes the business so much more efficient. And they're a very small team. They're like a sub-20 team, I think, doing like $50 million in revenue, which is crazy. So Grant Lee has some awesome thoughts on this. I think becoming a high agency generalist, that's his term, is one of the best ways to protect yourself against AI, but also make a lot of money in the AI world. AI is going to have an equaliser effect. Like, we're all going to become really good at certain skills by using AI. So we're all going to become creative. We're all going to become developers. We're all going to be able to design. It will also have somewhat of an equalizing effect on intelligence. So you think about like the Harvard grad, for example. Historically, the career opportunities are just far beyond the college dropout. But now, even like the high school dropout is going to have access to the same level of information, keyword there is information, as the Harvard grad. So there's going to be an equalizing effect on, I guess, intelligence to a degree, information availability, but also certain skill sets, creative, developing, etc. So what that means is that having book smarts won't be as much of an advantage anymore. And that's where this higher level thinking, this more strategic thinking comes into play. It's more like street smarts, if you like. That's where you're going to have the advantage. Rather than just knowing more stuff, it's going to be being able to combine the knowledge you have in certain areas to make predictions and have taste and understand what's going to work in years to come. And at this point, it's probably worth talking about like the time horizons that I'm talking about here. I don't think 1 to 2 years is that interesting to talk about as a timeline for AI, because quite frankly, human adoption will not evolve at the same rate that AI is. AI is evolving far faster than human adoption will ever be. So I don't think a significant amount is going to change in the next year. Like if you call your local takeaway in a year's time, you're still going to get, the owner, the family business picking up the phone and taking your order, right? There's not going to be AI in a year's time because we just won't adopt it that quick. In 10 years, 100% it will be. But in a year, I don't think it's that interesting because human adoption is just going to be too slow on a mass level. Of course, there are specific cases and businesses where they're already using AI at a ridiculous level, but mass human adoption will be really, really slow. You think about some people that are still not even using the internet, right? There are a lot of people that are still doing their fucking tax returns on paper and shit. So human adoption will be too slow over the first 1 to 2 years. Beyond 10 years, I don't think you can really predict accurately and specifically what's going to happen. Even the most intelligent people in the world, I don't think, can predict that accurately and specifically. Certainly, I don't feel comfortable doing that. It would be like going back to 1995 and saying that, yeah, being a YouTuber is a full-time job in 20 years. Like, no one would have said that, right? So I don't think we can actually make accurate predictions about what the future looks like. So I think this kind of 5 to 10, maybe 3 to 10 year time horizon is the most interesting to think about. And that's where a significant amount of change will experience, at least a significant amount of change in that 3 to 10 year period. So 1 to 2 years, I wouldn't worry too much. 3 to 10 years, I think that's where the significant amount of change happens. And it will start with lower level, like early stage tasks, menial tasks, repetitive tasks, typically that would be done by interns, graduates, junior members of the team. Those will be the first ones to go. Tasks that don't have a significant cost, like the cost of getting it wrong isn't significant, those will be the ones that go first. So that's another way to insure yourself against AI, is be working in a place where your decisions have a high potential cost if they go wrong, because I think that will be the last thing that we basically outsource to AI. I use the example of like self-driving cars as an example. Self-driving cars exist and work. Like, they are, I don't actually have the statistics, I imagine statistically safer than human drivers. Like, they are a thing. But why are we not all driving self-driving cars? Well, it's because the cost of a self-driving car going wrong is death. So it's a significant cost. Right? That's why we're all using ChatGPT to write our emails, but we're not all using self-driving cars. Right? The tech works in both cases. Someone on the panel last night actually gave the example of there's now an AI tool that can analyze X-rays 55% more accurately than a human, which I think is really interesting and amazing, right? But I was thinking, this time a little bit longer last year, August last year, I'm lying in hospital with 3 cracks in my bones in my leg, and the doctor's showing me an X-ray. If they'd just run that through AI and handed me this sheet of paper that said, yeah, Sam, we got AI to look at your snapped tibia and it says this is what's happened, I'd have been like, I don't know do I want to believe that? But the fact that there's a doctor in a white coat telling me exactly what's happened and what they're going to do felt reassuring. So again, that's a case where the cost of the AI being wrong is really significant. It's my leg not repairing, right? So I think those sorts of decisions and tasks will be the last to go. The first ones to go will be the insignificant, menial, repetitive tasks that are quite formulaic and typically done by graduates. It's going to be extremely difficult to be a graduate in the next 10 years, I think. Again, one of the things I was talking about yesterday on the panel was I'd hate to be 4 right now, because I think it's going to be extremely difficult for those people to get a job. That's obviously longer in the distance. That's like 15 years before they're going to be getting jobs, but I'd hate to be a 4-year-old right now. With that said, I changed my tune a little bit on it, because look back historically at human evolution, we're a species that evolves. We're designed to evolve, right? And this isn't the first time we've had disruption. So whilst I think we need to be very, very cautious and conscious of what the future is going to look like, I don't think you should fear it, because you look at all of the disruption that's happened previously, Industrial Revolution, Web 2, the internet, we evolved. We were fine. Like, a lot of people thought that was going to completely change how people lived and worked, but we adapted, right? We're designed to adapt. So I'm sure we will adapt to the AI world, but of course we want to be conscious and cautious of how we do that. And look, until we have human-like, self-sustaining general intelligence robots, humans are going to have jobs in some form. Those jobs will be very different. It's probably more going to be moderating the work that AI is doing and that high-level decision-making and thinking that I shared. But we will have jobs. Jobs will exist. Careers will exist. The opportunity to create businesses and generate an obscene amount of wealth from businesses will still exist until we have human-like, self-sustaining general intelligence robots, at which point you've got bigger things to worry about. Or maybe there's nothing to worry about at all. We don't know yet. So all of that is to say that the biggest gains in the next 5 to 10 years are going to come from being in an industry or in a role or having a business where you are paid to think and make decisions and predictions where the cost of getting them wrong is extremely high. Of course, that puts risk on you. Like that, it means that if you fuck it up, like it's going to be bad, right? But that's the reality of where we are now. And if you want to make an obscene amount of money, I think that's the space that you have to play in. You almost have to take that risk in order to be the one that gets the big bucks, right? Often if you make a big risk, you get the big payoff. So you want to be in a space where you are making and providing guidance at a high level where the cost of getting it wrong is significant. I think about, and I'll give you an example in a moment, but I just want to touch on an essay that I read on Twitter recently about something called taste. Now, I can't remember who wrote this essay, but they used the word taste, which I thought was really interesting. AI can't replace taste. Taste is knowing what's worth building. This is a quote from the essay. Let me try and find who said it, actually. I don't think I can. But yeah, what they said was, taste is knowing what's worth building. It's the instinct to distinguish the trivial from the essential, the fleeting hack from the enduring product. AI can spell out whatever you want. It cannot tell you what you should want in the first place. Imagination becomes the entire piece. The best engineers, they're going to look. So imagination becomes the entire game. The best engineers will look less like compilers and more like logic designers, people whose primary output is judgment. And I think taste is a brilliant way of explaining that because it feels more human and visceral, something that general intelligence or robots could not do. So taste, I think, is really important. And now I'll give you an example of an area where I think you could get paid a significant amount. I look at a brand or big brands like, say, Coca-Cola, right, where their reach is global, the brand is extremely well known. They will be creating full ads with AI. I think they did actually create a full ad with AI previously, but the ad was not quite right. I can't remember exactly what they got some flack for, but people were like, this is an AI ad, it's damaging the brand. They got a bit of backlash for it. In 5 years, it'll be completely normal for brands like Coca-Cola to be making full like Hollywood-style advertisements using AI. That will be a very normal thing. But there needs to be some taste in terms of what ad they should create at what times of the year with certain messaging they should be using in order to reach the human consumer in a way that's going to resonate. Those decisions, that's taste, and that's the sort of thing that humans are going to be paid a significant amount for. So that's an example in marketing and branding, right, where you can make a significant amount of money by guiding people on what they should be doing, not necessarily doing it for them or how to do it, because that will largely be done by AI, but having the taste to understand what is actually going to perform as a campaign for a global brand, right? And the cost of getting that wrong for someone like a Coca-Cola is significant. The cost of getting it wrong for your local takeaway is pretty insignificant, right? They might lose out on 3 orders on a Saturday night. The cost for Coca-Cola is millions, hundreds of millions, or potentially billions. Another example, if you think about tech and building products, I mean, it was said perfectly in the essay, AI can spell out whatever you want. It cannot tell you what you should want in the first place. So I think the people that are going to get paid the most amount of money in tech in the near future are not going to be the ones actually doing the developing. That's going to be completely outsourced to AI. They're going to be ones making the calls on which apps, which products people actually want in the first place, making a prediction about the future of what humans are going to desire, and then acting on that or getting other people / AI to act on that. So it's those decisions where there can be a lot on the line. The risk of getting it wrong is extremely high, that I think are less replaceable by AI and will get paid a significant amount in the future. So some questions that we've had related to this. The other thing that I think is really, really important on this is because AI has such an equalizing effect on intelligence, it's no longer what you know. There's that age-old saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know. I'm going to go a step further. In the future, it's not what you know, it's not even who you know, it's who knows you. Historically, all of the highest paid people in the world have also been recognized as leaders in their space, and that is only going to get more significant in the future. Having a network and a brand where people instantly trust you and see you as an authority is going to be your shortcut to getting the best opportunities. So building your personal brand now is a non-negotiable if you want to make a significant amount of money in the future. The more people that know you and like you and trust you, the more opportunities you're going to have and the more favoritism you're going to get over the next person that you're competing with or the AI tool that maybe could do it to a slightly lower standard. So having more people know who you are and trust you is only going to ever be a positive thing, right? As I said before, I don't feel confident predicting accurately what life is going to look like beyond 10 years into the future. But I can say this, I can't see us getting to a world where having more people know who you are, like you, and trust you wouldn't be a useful thing. I cannot see a world where that is the case. So start posting content online, building your personal brand around the knowledge and the ideas, the taste and the high level thinking that you have in order to build your reputation as a leader in your industry. If you can build that reputation as a leader in your industry, you are going to get an unfair amount of opportunities. The lion's share of opportunities, deals, speaking engagements, clients are all going to come your way, and you're going to be the first person that people look to for guidance and advice in the industry. We all have expertise to share, but the biggest mistake you can make in the next 12 months to 5 years is being an invisible expert. You need to get your ideas and your opinions out there and start building a brand so you have a reputation as someone that is a leader in the space. And if you combine that with constantly up-leveling your thinking and becoming a high-level decision maker with great taste, I think you're going to make an obscene amount of money in the AI world. Couple of questions that we've had come in from the audience around this as well. Will AI replace content creators? A big one. It's similar to a lot of the questions I got last night on the panel, actually, is like, how do you actually build a personal brand in an AI world where AI is doing a lot of the content creation? AI can certainly replace content creation. I don't think it can replace a personal brand or a connection with a personal brand. And I encourage people to use AI in the content creation process. Like, some of it is terrible right now. Some of it is very good, and it's only going to get better. So I don't want to say don't use AI in the process. Like, I'm already using AI a lot in the content we produce, but using it, and this is for the current state of AI, using it now is different to completely creating content with AI. Completely creating content with AI, most people aren't good enough to use most AI tools to do that well. So don't create full pieces of content with AI. You're probably not good enough at doing that right now, or not. The tools aren't good enough to allow someone with average content creation ability to do that. So, so leverage it for things like research, for example, but don't create full pieces of content with AI. Will it replace content creators in the future? It will probably replace a lot of content creation, but as I said, I still don't think it can replace a human-to-human connection that people will have with a personal brand or their favorite content creators online. Like, people are still going to be interested in celebrities. Young kids are still going to be watching their favorite YouTubers. Personal brands in the business world are still going to be extremely effective. So it will replace content creation to some extent. I don't think it will replace the personal brand. What's one skill that changed your career? This is another one. Learning to have good conversations. So I believe in the 6 degrees of separation, which states that you are only ever 6 connections away from anyone in the world. So you pick anyone in the world, you know someone that knows 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 them. Okay? And what that means is that you are then only 6 conversations away from anyone in the world. So anyone you could want to work with, partner with, get in a room with, you're only 6 good conversations away from them, because there are 6 connections between you and them. And then, to be honest, I think the chances are it's probably less than that for the majority of people. Certainly and to be honest, I think it's probably a lot less than that for most people. So you're even fewer conversations away from anyone else in the world. So learning conversations, therefore, is one of the best skills that you can have. So go away and so a few actionable takeaways for today. Constantly up-level your thinking, decision-making, your taste. Get comfortable making predictions about the future, knowing that the cost of those predictions being wrong could be significant. Build your personal brand so that more people know who you are, like you, and trust you. And learn to have good conversations. And if you do those 3 things, I think you're going to have an extremely successful career in an AI-driven world. Guys, if you enjoyed this podcast, please leave a comment letting me know what your thoughts were. This is the 2nd solo episode we've done in this style. We're thinking of doing more of these. So if you want more like this, if you enjoyed the episode, please let me know in the comments below. If you've got any suggestions for guests that you would love to see on the podcast, please do tell me as well, and we'll do our best to get them on. Whilst you're here, if you can also subscribe or leave a rating on your favorite podcast provider, what it does is it helps us secure even bigger and better guests for the podcast. So please do that. It takes 30 seconds, but has a huge impact if everyone listening can do that right now. And guys, I'll see you in the next one.